Hello and welcome to a new video. If you're new here, my name's Rocky. If you're not new here, thank you very much for coming back, and it's cool to be making videos actually regularly. So hello. Hello. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the things I've learned in my first year of being a musical theatre graduate. These are just things I've learned so far, so let's dive in. They're going to be in no particular order as well, but I thought it would just kind of be nice to share what I've learned so far. The first thing, and I knew this anyway, but I feel like it really gets solidified when you're actually doing it, is that you are your own business. Now, I have an agent, but it's not my agent's job to make sure I go to class, to make sure I'm keeping my rep up, make sure I'm having singing lessons, make sure I'm, keeping fit and healthy, and making sure I look like my headshot, and making sure I keep my spotlight up to date. That's not my agent's job. My agent is wonderful and I absolutely love her, but that's not her job. That's my job. It's my job to make sure my product is in the best working order. And I say the word product because at the end of the day, as a performer, you are selling yourself, you're selling your skills, you're selling your literal body to stand on stage and play a character. So you are selling yourself, so you are your own product. And this kind of leads on to my second point, which is it is a lifestyle. And the more you think about it that way, I think the better it is. It can sometimes be really rubbish. There are days where you wake up and you're like, haven't had an audition in a while, haven't got a job, it doesn't feel great. And you go on social media and everyone else looks like they're in this show and they're doing that and they're doing this, and it's like, am I the only one out of work? But no, you're not. There are so many people in this industry that are not in work because that's just the nature of this industry and this lifestyle. So it really is a lifestyle. And my next thing is along the same lines, and that is your CV is really important. And when I say CV, I'm mainly referring to your Spotlight CV, and that's the place where casting directors will put out breakdowns for roles and agents will submit their clients. So it's kind of the place where everyone hangs out to cast people. And if you're on Spotlight, you will have an online CV which will have your headshots and all your details, your agent's details, your height, those kind of things, and also your credits. So that is super important. And one thing you can do with Spotlight is put up show reels. So I have two on mine. I have my MT video show reel, which is like little clips of me on stage doing live performances. And then I also have a vocal reel, which is me singing, which I had recorded by lovely West End on Sea Productions. I will link them below if you are interested. Ooh, dropping my notebook. And I'm going to give myself a shameless little plug here. I've just started a new showreel editing business. It's called SHOWREEL Shop. It's www.showreelshop.com. I will link it below, and it's also SHOWREEL Shop on socials. So if you are interested in getting a showreel, contact me on there. But the main reason is I did just plug myself, but I did get cast in a show from my online CV, and the producers came up to me afterwards and they said how much they liked my show reel and how it was great to see the different things I could do, and that because of that, that's why they picked me. So I can't stress enough how important that is, especially as a graduate. If you haven't got a lot on your CV and a casting director can't see a West End credit or a UK tour or whatever, they have footage there and can literally see what you can do. And I can completely understand that from a casting director's point of view. If someone's got a West End credit, you're like, well, they've been in the West End, they must be good. Or, well, they've worked for so-and-so and I know that person, so I'm going to come and have them come in and I'll see them for this job. But if you've got no credits, you've got no show reel, you've got nothing that they can go off, then it's a higher risk than it is if they see something in your show reel and go, ooh, they can do that thing that I'm looking for. Let's bring them in and see how they are in the audition room. So yes, show reels, important. The next thing is talking about auditions. Now, generally there are two types of auditions. Well, there's definitely lots of different types of auditions, but generally you've got open calls and closed calls. Of course, in those brackets, you've got dance calls and singing calls and first round, second rounds, recalls, self-tapes, all of that stuff. But you typically have an open call and a closed call. So an open call is exactly how it sounds. It's an open, so anyone can go to it. You can turn up whether you've got an agent or not, whether you're on Spotlight or not, whether you've trained or not, and you can audition. With a closed call, it is organised through your agent, or sometimes yourself. If you've self-sourced an audition, that's still technically a private audition, but generally it is done through your agent. So I will get an email and it says, you have a meeting with blah de blah for the show of blah de blah for the role of blah. Here's the lines to learn, or here's the material they want to see. It is at this time, at that time, blah de blah. And that's a closed audition. So the main thing I've learned that I wanted to talk about is in regards to open calls. With an open call, there's going to be loads of people. It doesn't matter what the job's for, whether it's for a West End show, whether it's for a cruise, whether it's for a tour, whatever, it's going to be busy. So you have to get there really early, like I'm talking at least an hour before call time, maybe a bit more if you're feeling super keen. And they usually run late. And I have been to an open call where I haven't been seen, which was just, not great. And the other thing I've learned about opens is they're not always a waste of time. And I had this thing in my head thinking, a lot of open calls are just for publicity. They just do it to make a big fuss and get everyone interested in the show. And in some circumstances that might be the case, but I do know people who have got jobs from opens. And if they haven't got the job, have got really far down the audition process from an open audition. And if nothing else, it's an opportunity to get seen by a casting director who is casting that show. And that is definitely valuable. So opens, not entirely a waste of time. Sometimes they're worth it. The next thing is rep. And when I say rep, I mean your rep book, which is generally a lot of songs that you sing, that you know in a lot of different genres and styles and show different things. So you might have a really good pop song and then also have a really traditional musical theatre song. All the genres covered that are suitable for your voice and your castability. My rep consists of lots of songs, around 12, maybe a bit more, I haven't actually counted them, but they cover all the genres and all the styles. And the reason I have lots in my rep is because when I was training, my college was really hot on that. They were like, you have to have all this stuff, you have to have these songs, you need to be prepared. And I can't thank them enough for that, because it takes a long time to build a good rep of songs that are useful. But one thing I have learned is generally I sing the same songs. And I think that's because of the type of stuff that I'm put up for at the moment, especially as a graduate. At the moment, it tends to be musicals on ships, panto, cruises, UK tours. So I'm usually asked for a pop and an MT song. I pretty much always take the same pop because it's up-tempo, it's happy, and it shows a lot of range, and it's usually suitable for the shows that I'm put up for. And then I'll pick out of my MT songs which one I think shows something else or is suitable for that part. So the main things I've learned there are how important it is to have an up-tempo pop and a good MT, and also good panto songs. The next thing is the good old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that couldn't be more true. And that's great, but it also really kind of isn't, because it means that if you know someone, then great. But if you don't, not quite so great. It doesn't mean that if you don't know someone, you're not going to get a job, but it also means that if you do know someone, it definitely works in your favour. And I've experienced this myself. I've been asked back for things, or I've done something or met someone and they've asked me to do something else. Which is so nice, and I'm so thankful for, because that's like the highest praise you can ever get, is someone to watch you work or work with you and say, I'd like to work with you again. That's really like just the best thing ever. It works both ways. It works in your favour, but it also works against. And it's kind of a shame, I think, in the industry, but it's also, it's nice. We're only human, I guess, at the end of the day. If you know someone's going to do a good job and you know someone's reliable, and you're going to want them back. Okay, I have 3 more things. The first thing is you will put on weight. I said this in my last video, and I thought probably makes sense to include it here as well. Especially if you've been doing any form of dancing on your course, you will put on weight when you graduate. It's just going to happen. Like, we did 3 or 4 dance classes a day, and they were an hour and a half each, and they were full out. So when you kind of do the maths. That's a lot of exercise that then you're having to replace when you leave. And unless you have enough money to go to Pineapple and do 3 or 4 classes every day and not have to work and fit that in around having a job, then it's gonna happen. And I think when you graduate and that happens, you're like, what's going on? I don't like this. I feel uncomfortable. I don't feel like myself. My body feels different. But for me, I've been able to get back to where I was, and I'm just sort of working on it, keeping going forward, going to the gym and all of that stuff. So it does go back if you work on it, but that will happen when you graduate, almost definitely. The next thing is that there is so much more money in TV, film and commercials than there is in theatre. Why? And the reason I learned this is because I earned more doing a commercial job than I did doing like 3 weeks of full out dancing. I did 1 shoot day and I got paid more than I did for sweating every day for 3 weeks. And the last thing is that it is so important to build a life that you enjoy and that fulfills you outside of theatre and working and performing, because of the nature of the industry and the lifestyle of being a performer. Unless you're in work all the time, which is highly unlikely, you're not doing the thing you love doing. So you need to find other things that you love doing and that fulfill you as well. And for me, that's finding muggle jobs or jobs outside of performing that make me feel valued and that I enjoy. I worked in a bar for a while and the bar was fine. Everyone was nice. I personally didn't feel fulfilled working in a bar. So now I do nannying and teaching. And for me, I always wanted to be a teacher alongside being a performer. Those were my 2 kind of things, is I either wanted to be a performer or I wanted to be a teacher. And this way, in my mind, I kind of get to do both. I feel so much more fulfilled as a nanny. I get to work with wonderful, wonderful families who are so lovely, and I get to teach the kids things. I get to take care of them, make sure they're happy. And it's a job that helps families, like it makes other people's lives easier. And for me, that makes me feel fulfilled and valued and like I'm doing some good for someone. So yeah, I would say that is really important, is finding a job that you enjoy. And also finding hobbies that are a bit outside of performing, or don't necessarily have to be outside of performing. Like you might absolutely love going to, I don't know, burlesque class. That's somewhat related because you could end up doing a job where you play a burlesque dancer, or it's still dancing, it's still performing. So even though it's not directly a strict technique jazz class, it still kind of involves the industry, but it might be something that makes you feel really fulfilled. So for me, I love going to the gym, lifting weights, I just love it. And I also love skating, so I go to the roller rink, I go to skate class, and learning a skill that could be useful in the industry is really fun. But it's also, like I say, it's not a ballet class. It's not like I'm doing this for my career. It's something that I do that I enjoy for myself, and it's finding those things that are for you and make you feel like a well-rounded person who has a full life outside of being a performer, that I think is really good for the brain and for making it a lot more fun and a better lifestyle. Those are the things I've learned. If you are a graduate or a performer and have anything else, or if there's any questions, if anyone's like, I wonder what it's like to be a performer, and you're not a performer, feel free to comment in the thing. Or if you have any questions about what it's like to be a performer, maybe you're studying and you'd be interested to know what it's like after graduating, or anything like that, let me know in the comments below and I will definitely reply to you. I always reply to my comments and I always read them. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I shall see you all very soon.